Welcome back to Straight No Chaser. This is episode 13. We have a special guest this week, Derek. He is going to Suffolk as well. Derek, what year are you?
I'm a senior.
Senior. So he's class of 2021. He is in computer science. He's got a ton of interesting things going on in his life. Why don't we start off with what your major is and like what projects you've been involved with?
So my major is computer science. It's very obviously a broad field. It's something I took interest into pretty young. And before college, back in high school, I started this project called MTAC Research. It's an acronym for something I've unfortunately forgot. I might make something up if someone ever asks. Um, but I kind of started as a pet project. I really didn't know anything about what I was doing. I just knew that it was really interesting. I love the way things work. Um, so I started teaching myself, um, just Googling YouTube, stuff like that. It was hard at first, but I mean, with anything as you gain experience, it becomes easier. And went into college. Obviously, you need money for stuff. So I was like, I want to see if I could turn this into a way to make some profit. I really don't know anything about business. I don't know anything about marketing, but same thing. I'm just going to try to teach myself. So for me, I mainly do like runtime modification, which I'll explain a little bit more. It's basically changing something that's already there. So if you have an app on your phone, I can add stuff to it or add stuff to your phone any way you like. Doesn't matter which kind of phone you have. So for me, I focus mainly on Apple stuff, mainly because of market share.
Yeah.
There's a ton of people that have them, and it's for me, I just like it. It seems to work. It's their motto. It just works. But for me, it does. And so that's, I have my main product right now is called Links. It's this massive customization suite. If you can think of anything you want to do on your phone, you can do it. And I started a different model based on the community that also makes this kind of stuff. A lot of people put a lot of time into a project and then just abandon it. I decided when I made it, I wasn't going to charge for it. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to charge a really low price, but I'm going to keep it going where it's constantly being updated. I take constant feedback and I try to make sure, as any product, it's as smooth as possible. And that model has honestly kind of worked out for me because it's not like it's a rather niche area, I guess, this
Yeah.
sort of it. And you have to find a market for it, and that's easy with just like Instagram. Let's take that as an example app. Everyone knows what it is, so I had to find a way to make people not only interested in it but to spend the $1.50 on it. And some people say I charge too much and all this and that, but if you balance it out, it's much better than charging, for me in this market, charging a high price for something that won't ever be updated or just be abandoned. So
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what's the app's main functions? Like what would a consumer use it for?
so let's say you well, when I say everything, you can it's not like it's not your typical app, let's just say that. And I say
Okay.
app because it's the easiest way to explain it. But it's essentially like I guess you could say a plugin. So let's say you want your clock on your phone to look different. Like that's a very basic example of it, but like the way I built it, you can change literally not physically, but literally everything you want.
Yeah.
Um,
That's cool.
so yeah.
So actually, I have a couple questions here. So, do you basically use APIs to integrate it with like Apple products, like other apps?
Yeah, so a big part of the work I do is like reverse engineering it.
Yeah.
Apple doesn't necessarily open this kind of stuff up to a lot of people,
No. Yeah. That's what
and
I'm kind of interested in. Is like.
people get people get hung up on the fact that they think it's like illegal or something, and it basically is. It's no different than any other app you get from the App Store.
Oh wow.
But the majority of my time, I've never really timed it out, but I do time all of my projects, like what section of it I'm working on at a time, and most of it is actually just research.
Okay.
So
So
like break it.
most of your coding is through like you use Python. That's like your main language.
So obviously, Python is one of the ones you hear about a lot. I use everything.
Okay.
The main language I use is called Objective C. It's very uncommon, but it's very useful. And unfortunately for me, I chose to focus my interest on it. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of all in at this point where I know what I'm doing with it. I'm pretty good at it, but when it comes to working with other people, that can be a lot harder because they have to learn something new.
Yeah. As long as you can make it work, right?
Yeah, but I mean, for the future, I'm gonna have to teach myself other stuff. But in this field, once you know one thing and you start to learn how this kind of stuff works, it's not as hard as it used to be. And you can Google's a thing. I Google more stuff than any other field, to be honest, probably. Because
Like,
someone's always done it before you.
Do you use W3 a lot?
Yep, I do
Yeah.
that for all of my website stuff. Because I mean, like, in all honesty, I don't have time to be making, like, let's say a website. It has to look good, it has to function well, but I don't want to be spending most of my time on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
of
I
course.
also have to balance how much time I spend on research, how much time I spend on development, and then how much time I spend on like marketing. And when I say marketing, it's a very loose term because I don't know anything about it, but all I know is the profit and the amount of followers and stuff on social media and all that kind of stuff is increased. So
Well, I think your
it's
your
something,
main
right?
issue is like you can get word out, but it's like you're more focused on like customer education, right? Where it's like explaining to people what exactly they're getting.
To some degree, yeah.
Okay.
I try to focus on making it intuitive too.
Yeah.
And in some cases, I get a ton of feedback, good and bad. Some of the feedback is it's too wordy. There's too many explanations and kind of stuff like that. But I mean, that's kind of stuff that's almost good in a way because
Agreed.
someone complaining that they don't have it, right? So,
Yeah.
and that's basically only that app. I mean, I have other stuff that's more traditional. Like I mentioned, I have something coming out, finance related. I kind of can't talk about it too much, but I don't want to ruin the surprise. But
Yeah. Smart.
it's going to be more of a mainstream focus thing as I transition from like my own projects into probably getting a job in that app development kind of field.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll actually put a link in the description of the video if you want to send people over onto the App Store.
Yeah,
that'd be
just
awesome.
be sure to send like me a link. Like you can do it in the Skype chat or something, and I'll just take it and be sure.
All right, so
Sure, it's
Derek, I
on the
also wanted
video.
to ask you, you've been contracted by Google before. Can you tell us about that experience and what that
Yeah,
was?
so sorry. That's more of the so it's called more like security research.
Okay.
That's where it's actually more research than anything else. It's basically you hear all on the news all the time. Oh, like 400,000 passwords got breached. This got hacked. This bank got hacked. I basically am the person that they hired to come in to try to find these myself. So I try to break it in every way possible, and then find a way to fix it. And then if it works, and I mean, there's a million different ways. So that's why they had many different people do it. You basically sign up for the contract. You say, this is what I want to focus on. If you can fix it, they credit your name on their page, and sometimes there's financial compensation for it. So if you get real big in the industry and you start moving towards like government stuff, the money can get really, really big.
Yeah,
into
it's
the
like
millions of dollars.
so you're like a freelance ethical hacker, pretty much.
Yeah.
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 That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Ethical.
Yeah.
So and when you mention the ethical thing, it's I get a lot of the questions of, oh, can you hack my Facebook kind of thing, and it's like, to be honest, I really don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
I'm
an actual
I'm focused
like
on other kind of stuff.
yeah, like ethical hackers like an actual job with like a salary from like certain government agencies. Like
Yeah.
yeah. There are some people who
Yeah.
like committed like serious felonies through like coding, and like they get hired as ethical hackers after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
I
usually
I
get
haven't
an
committed
ultimatum.
any. I haven't committed any felonies yet. I hope never to, but I mean,
I
it
was gonna
works
say
out.
the only way
Just
the
keep our
government can
fingers
get those
crossed.
hackers is like they're like, all right, you're facing 20 years imprisonment, or you're gonna come work for us,
Yeah.
the NSA.
And get
Yeah.
dental care for life.
Yeah, that's awesome though. So very interesting stuff. Definitely in the bio. We'll put some links down there.
Okay.
Anything else
Yeah,
you wanted to
actually,
mention?
I had a question for Derek actually real quick. So you're talking about developing like apps and developing new technology for smartphones and computers. What do you think right now? Because you said you wanted to get into more like marketing and advertising. What do you think's really lacking right now in that kind of world of applications? And what do you think like was something that people are looking for that you would possibly work on for new applications on their phone or computer?
So
Good question.
when you think about it, there's trends and everything, right? And I might, if you can, explain a little bit more what you meant by like the marketing side of it. But it honestly, you have to really just read what's popular.
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
marketing side, I just kind of mean like with like existing apps, do you think there's anything you think it's like they're looking for something new? People like are you trying to develop something new that would be popular to people, or are you trying to improve more on what already exists? Kind of like that.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to I'm trying to have that big breakout app that gets huge as everyone wants.
Yeah.
And so you have to, for me, that finance app I'm talking about, you have to look at whether it's been done already. And there's a limit to that because, I mean, you can have something done already and it could be completely different and it won't matter.
Yeah.
And not even getting into the legal side of copyright and trademarks and stuff. But um, for me, like I'm hoping that because I can't find any other talk about it anywhere or anything close to it, I'm hoping that if I can do it right, it'll blow up, and not even blow up. But for me, what I kind of want to get out of it is just have as many people as possible use it. And that goes for anything. I mean, clearly, obviously, the money's a big part of it too. When you get good at something, might as well not, or might as well do it. But to be honest, I genuinely like knowing that the stuff I created is on people's devices everywhere around the world.
Yeah.
It was
And
really
that's
interesting because I was always, yeah, I'm always interested in like, because I feel like there's so many apps. Like you can literally look up anything right now and find an app for it. So I'm always
Yeah,
interested in who's thinking of like creating something that's kind of never been seen before, never really been like used before. So I think that's really interesting, actually.
yeah, and it's cool because you can start mixing different like uh, ideas or types of apps together, which you would never think of. And I mean, I can't really, I can talk about it and I might later on as it goes forward. But with this
Yeah.
app, I'm trying to merge the idea of finance, investing, and like social media, and not based on like the typical idea of social media, but like more of the learning how to all of the stuff they never teach you about like the stock market, let's say. Make it so it's not just like Robinhood. I'll use that as an example. Like you sign up, you can do whatever, but you don't know. Like some people sign up and they're like, what even is a
Yeah.
stock?
Yeah.
Some people think they know what a stock is
Yeah,
and they have
legit.
no idea.
So it like it
And
Oh
kind
so
of
my
like
God,
provides
that's
you with
so true.
so
a little guidance, right?
a little bit of guidance, but it mixes you with and hopefully allows you to connect with people that are truly like interested in it and want to just teach other people without having the experts come in, without signing up for a course kind of thing. You want to have people that know what they're talking about for sure.
Yeah.
You don't want to be obviously misleading people, but you want to have it more of a community-based learning thing, and be able to share your progress and learning and what you're doing based on your personal portfolio kind of thing.
I do think that's a really good idea actually, because like counter to Robinhood, and if like people engage with each other, they'd actually be more insight, and then they'd invest much better if they actually learned a little bit more about what they were doing on
I
the
think
platform. I
I
like
think
the
the
idea.
other really good point there is like even if an app isn't like the first like new thing, like before Robinhood and Webull there was Stack. Like Stack was the
Yeah,
first like free investing app, but like for some reason Robinhood and Webull blew up over Stack, you know? So
yeah,
UI user interface plays a huge role in like
yep.
making an app big.
hmm And you have to make it as easy to use for anyone, and
Yeah,
you got to really go out on the limb to find every use group when
yeah,
you think about it. And thank God for the internet because you can look up trends in certain types of apps where you want to focus on like finance apps, a big gripe about finance apps is they're super, super complicated.
Yeah.
And
I
we
can
want to make
imagine.
it not so easy as Robinhood, where it feels like not a toy app, but like clearly simplified
Does
down. You know what
though,
I mean?
kind of.
Because
Yeah.
like if you're like a real like stock investor, like maybe you have Robinhood, but I doubt you're using Robinhood for your
Yeah,
stuff. So
Robinhood's like your like pocket change where you're like drunk at like
yeah,
a bar and you got like 100 grand to just throw around as
exactly.
like petty cash.
Yeah. So
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I like the concept of the app too, merging social media and finance. That sounds like a really
Same.
good idea.
yeah, and I,
Um,
I don't know where it's gonna go, but the idea behind that statement was if people are trying to find new ideas that are different, just mix stuff that you never thought would mix. What's the worst that can happen? It could
Yeah.
fail and it goes nowhere.
Now,
That's
Derek, do you work alone or do you have like a few other people who work with you? What's the deal?
So I have a decent core group of people. I'd say there's one kid I work with pretty consistently. He knows sort of the same stuff I do. He works on some of the same products. We actually share one together. But other than that, it's mainly just me because not it's not just that I don't work with other people well. I do. It's just this is my kind of project kind of thing. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
I get what you're
So I
saying.
like having
Sure.
the ultimate control, but I'm not. I've heard other people like becoming more and more interested in it, and it's not just me. I'd like to. I don't know where it's going to go, and it's a little bit hard with school and everything. But I definitely, if it turns into something, start working with more people that have sort of the same ideas and interests.
Absolutely. That's interesting to hear.
Yeah, that's really
Um,
smart.
all right. I mean, do you guys have any more questions?
I asked my like kind of nerdy programming questions, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So I think we're gonna go into our topics now. So for our first one, U.S. coronavirus cases are on the rise again. We are number one in the world, finally at something. So the three big states in which there's huge rises happening right now are Texas, California, and Florida. Um, Texas and Florida are not that surprising because the South generally has like much less strict guidelines than the coaster
Oh yeah.
states. But California is actually on the list as well, and the U.S. has added 67,000 cases today. So we're actually rising at an exponential rate at the moment. Like it was starting to plateau, but as the fall starts to come on, we're actually growing. And there was an alert in Massachusetts. I remember you guys were telling me about it.
Yeah, just going on my
Where like
phone.
Yeah. Several
Woburn
communities now.
and
Woburn,
Boston.
Waltham, Boston, also Malden, Everett, Chelsea, like are all
Really?
considered high risk. Yeah.
Well, so
Yeah. Okay.
I
So it's
think a
back
big
here
thing
now.
to address before we like really talk about red zone is what is a red zone. So Yusuf and I were talking about it earlier. So a red zone is actually for every 1,000 people. I think about like it's like between 8 to 10 cases.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's still
So
a
that's
lot.
basically what's making when you hear like designated red zone, that's basically the rate of cases being caught for every 1,000 people. 8 to 10
Yeah.
people are catching it.
What do you know the all of them? Because there's red and then there's yellow, green, and white, I believe, in Mass. Do
I
you know
didn't
what
look at the
the?
rest of them. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Although anyway, all I wanted to mention was it's interesting because I feel like as it's progressed, I've seen more and more people not wearing masks. Like this week, I've seen multiple people outside in the subway not wearing masks, and like I really feel like it's a responsibility to the community to
It
wear a
is.
mask, take it seriously. It's like not a political issue; it's a public health crisis. There's like a time and a place for there to be politics, but public health crises are not one of them. So if anyone could just wear a mask. I mean, it's safer for your community, especially in 2020 when we're dealing with a global pandemic. Um, I feel like it's literally just a respect thing. I feel like for your neighbors and for your families, like I know several people who have contacted me just today on social media that have lost people in their families from coronavirus.
Yeah.
Like it might feel like it's off and foreign, but it's really not. It's very close and local.
One thing I don't understand is I I see people wear their mask, and then to talk to other people, they pull it down.
They
It's
pull
like,
it down.
I can still hear you. Like, noise
Bro,
is still coming out. Like, it's not
they
a
do that
soundproof
shit.
barrier. Like,
They do that shit at where I work, like where I
Yeah.
work on the weekends. They'll fucking come to order some shit, and they'll fucking be like, and like I'll just say what once because they're mumbling, and they'll be like I fucking told him like this, like that. I'll be like, all right, buddy, like it's, or they'll come in with just no mask at all and expect to get served. I'm just like, you have to leave. Like this is our rule. Like this is the reason we're staying open.
yeah.
Today I saw the funniest thing. There was a guy coming down an escalator when I was going up on the subway, like in one of the MBTA stations, and he takes off his mask to cough and then puts it back on. I was like, that isn't the point of the mask.
That doesn't make
It's
any
like,
sense. Like,
I was like, you're literally getting everyone around you sick while wearing a mask.
it's unreal.
It just made no sense.
And on top of that,
so-
like, people were always grabbing the front of their mask. It's like you
Yeah.
can't keep touching it all the time. Like, adjust it a little maybe if it needs adjusting, but like you keep doing that ruins the point. Now you gotta keep washing your hands over and over again.
Bro,
only
this dickhead on the subway literally he took his mask off, sneezed in his hand, like and then he grabs the fucking like pole inside the subway.
Jesus.
Smears it all around.
Yeah, dude, the MBTA is foul.
Yeah.
Some
The
fucking
MBTA is
mongrels
foul.
on that shit.
Unreal, dude.
I love the
Some
MBTA.
degenerates on the MBTA.
Yeah,
I got,
so I mean, it's crazy though.
Portable
Like,
hand
all-
sanitizer. I have it on my backpack.
Yeah, same actually. We always bring it anywhere we go.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to see because I think cases are going to continue to rise throughout the fall and winter as temperatures drop. So
I'm not too positive about that.
yeah, same.
Just looking at
Hopefully
just
none of
looking
us
at
are
the trend.
positive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think,
let's not be positive with the
A
situation.
big part of why they rise in winter is everyone starts hanging out inside as opposed to outside, right? So when everyone's chilling inside, you're definitely not wearing masks there, and it's like just a lot more people in a more dense area.
The other thing I
Also-
don't get actually is how do restaurants actually, like, if there's forced air in a restaurant and they don't have ACs, even like the social distancing will do nothing. Like
Yeah.
really it's just like a cesspool for coronavirus.
Yeah.
So if cases
Spreads it
starting to
out.
rise, they're probably gonna have to shut restaurants down again.
Yeah,
In my
unfortunately.
opinion, because that, I mean, like if you think about it, unless you have like AC that takes air from outside and cycles it properly, then there's no way
also
it's gonna be.
I also think
stable.
another reason it spreads more in the winter is you get these like seasonal viruses like the flu and the common cold, and it just mixes in. Like more people are sneezing and coughing in general, and then it's like
Yeah.
it just causes the spread. That's why it was so high last like winter and early spring, and then it went down a little bit.
Like
Yeah.
I work at a restaurant, and actually like 2 waiters called out because they woke up like with like colds pretty much, like sneezing and just not feeling well.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
the same with the store I work at. Well, there was a kid actually, he said he went out with like a group of people. One of them tested positive for corona, but then all the other ones got the multiple tests, like the 2 different ones you can do, and they came back negative. So he still came to work.
Jesus.
But apparently it can sit in your system for a little bit. So even like when you first test, it might not come up as positive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. But I think the other thing I liked with the restaurant we went to a taco restaurant, and the waiter was actually smart about it. So when he came up to us, he required that everyone sitting at the table wore a mask. So like when he approaches you, you have to wear a mask. This is for outdoor seating at least. Thought that was smart too. I've never seen a waiter tell like the table to put their masks back on before they come over. I thought that was kind of cool.
I'm
It
honestly,
like
I
made
haven't been
sense
out.
to me.
I'm honestly
I
kind of
haven't been
comfortable
sorry.
with wearing like just warm clothes and eating out, even though it's cold out. Like,
Yeah, same. I mean, I doubt
yeah,
a ton of people will want to do it because we live in like one of the coldest sections of the country. But like I would do it if that was our only option to still
Yeah.
be able to eat out. I would do it.
wait, sorry, Derek, what were you saying?
I was gonna say, like, I don't know if you guys have, well, you've seen every part, the streets and stuff where they put the tables outside.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's gonna force people in, or they're just gonna shut down because the cases are rising, or what's gonna happen with that.
Yeah,
And
same.
the one time because I haven't really been out to eat since this all started, but the one time I did is I was eating outside, and what what got me is I didn't have my mask on as I was sitting down. The waitress walked up to us and did the thing where she pulled her mask down. It was like,
It's like,
all right,
seriously.
I'm just not going out to eat until they give us the clear.
Yeah, right.
I
Well, that's the
survive.
thing, though. I feel like so many people have been forced in. Like, there's been huge economic shifts because there is no comfort in going out anymore. It's like,
No.
like
Yeah.
anywhere
It's a
you go,
risk.
you're at risk.
Yeah.
You're taking
That's
constant
why
risks.
like Uber Eats and shit is going way up now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
agreed.
Yo, Uber offers like rewards points now, so like you can use it on Uber Eats after a certain number of like points you get.
I literally did that. I have like the gold, and I got like a half on Uber Eats, and I was like
Nice.
pumped. But yeah, I mean, like that's pretty much it for my topic. Besides the fact that I just want to mention cases are rising. I think it's super important. But I mean, that pretty much sums it up.
So, speaking of displacement, I kind of want to get your take on this, Derek. So, I have a professor last semester that he said like coding is becoming more and more irrelevant each day, which so I think there's kind of two ways of seeing that. Whereas like with what you're doing, you're like creating your own applications. Their coding, I think, is still strong and surviving. But I think what he's getting at is if you know about like Docker Hub or Ruby on Rails, it's like
Yep.
people who like don't really need as much of the knowledge anymore. You can just buy packaged like you can just buy pre-packaged software code and like build something out of that
Yep.
with a lot less time and a lot less knowledge nowadays. So I kind of want to get your take. So like, do you see things like Ruby on Rails and Docker Hub as like helpful to you, or is it more like detrimental and scary, as in like more people can do what you do?
I see it as solely a good thing.
Yeah.
I use Docker every day.
Oh.
If I didn't have it, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
I consider it absolutely essential. But the two things you mentioned, the idea behind it is someone's got to build the thing that does that.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a need for it, and I think that's good because it at least introduces people to the idea of it. And if they're doing it just to be easier, that could be good, as it might save them time, but it might also not teach them something that they need to know. But for me, it saves me the time doing stuff that I don't need to repeat, because I try to build upon the stuff I've already done so I can do as much stuff for myself without actually having to do it physically.
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about it. So if you're like entrepreneur trying to save time and research, then it actually just mainstreams the tools that you need.
Yeah. So like, for an example, I mean, I focus very highly on quality. I won't update or release a product until it's absolutely up to my personal standards, which tend to be a little bit higher than a lot of stuff I see. But that's what's nice about having self-control about it. But I have to run tests to make sure it works on every possible combination of device, like version, stuff like that. And that's an example where I use Docker. I set it up to run as many tests until I get the standard deviation of the. It's complicated, but until I reach a certain number on the test, then I can release it.
Yeah, like a certain number of like successes as opposed to failure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool. Like I haven't really spoken with anyone that uses either. I've just done like research on them, I guess, for classes. And I think the other reason why he said that is he came up like as computers were coming up, you know, and like he did it from a systems integration standpoint of like more of a data and like integrating architecture kind of standpoint, not really creating, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. But another I think big concern is with like AI. Do you see that as another thing that you think will displace more coders, or will it only invigorate more people to get into it?
I really don't think we've seen any of it where close to what we're gonna see with that.
Yeah.
I think the idea that AI is going to take over the world is a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I don't agree.
If you really look at it,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think we're still very far away from it becoming a huge part of our lives, but I think people don't really realize that it's already part of our lives and has
Yeah, it
been
Yeah, it
is.
for a
is.
long,
It
long
really
time.
is.
Doesn't it
Yeah.
run like all the major social media platforms? It
Yeah,
it regulates a ton of data sets. No,
Yeah.
when,
I thought
yeah,
that's
whenever you hear the word algorithm, people think of it as this crazy like brain sort of thing going on. It's just a repeated process to get a desired outcome.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't use it too much, but I use things that I try to think of how I can say it. I don't actually build the stuff that does AI. I have no idea how to do it. To be honest, it doesn't really interest me.
Yeah.
That's a lot of more like I'd honestly say smarter people than me, because that's a lot of concepts and stuff. But in terms of something like search engine optimization, for me, like I have a big, not big, but decent social media following. I try to use the artificial intelligence from Google
Yeah.
to make sure that my name pops up before someone else with a similar name, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, my view on like AI is, it's just like if you look at history, like as industries change, there are like revolutionary changes, and now it's up to us to adapt to them, right? It's like
Yeah.
they're gonna be like you either find a use for it or you're gonna be left behind.
hmm I think by the time it actually becomes like something where people of my generation of coders, it'll probably be will be retired long before it ever takes over our jobs, kind of thing.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's interesting because I'm all for it. I think
yeah,
it can only make things better. Some people can get scared of it, but it honestly can find the best in many situations, and especially with COVID now. I worked on, I don't know how much time we have, but we talked a little bit. I don't know if I mentioned it to you, Jake, or not. I worked on a COVID tracker, and that's where we
really
use some of the AI to find hotspots in certain
that's
cities
cool.
where it's
that's
going to be
super cool.
next.
Was that like
Yeah,
you worked
Awesome.
on like a contact tracing project?
sort of. So it just pulled all the data from all like the hospitals. I focused on the East Coast.
Oh,
It was a big project. It was just
yeah,
a volunteer project back in, I think it was March or April. But it kind of just not, it wasn't perfect, but it could predict spikes better than if you just contact traced.
yeah, that's
I
really
actually want
cool.
your, from like a non data perspective, I want your opinion on something, Derek, though,
Mm-hmm.
because it's really interesting because computers now, if there is an algorithm in place, they can do stuff with much more proficiency than a human even can, like self-driving cars and like say you wanted a propulsion device, kind of like how SpaceX's rockets land themselves with precision almost every time.
Mhm.
Like a computer can do that with super like hyper consistency that a human could never. And I think that actually helps us because it's an innovative tool that we can use. So I don't think it's like against our interest to use that type of technology. What do you think?
I don't think it's against our interest at all. I
You know
think
what I
we have a
mean?
Yeah,
very, yeah, I think we have a very human bias against it. I think that we act like it's a anthropological thing itself. Like it can actually think for itself. There's computers can't think for themselves. They never
yeah,
will. They're not a biological thing. They can make predictions, they can make best choices, but they will never actually think for themselves. And when you think of like a Tesla self-driving car, all the technology isn't just in the car. Every car is linked to each other, and the only reason that's become so accurate is because they can fine tune out the little mistakes from all of them.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense as well, too. It's essentially just everything being connected in their network, too,
Yep.
and the
yeah,
algorithms that help them
Mhm.
stay out
Exactly.
of each other's way.
yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I totally like I see that and I agree as well. It's like AI, like it can't do what you do. It can't create anything.
Yeah.
It can't generate its own ideas on society. Like
hmm
we're not
Wait, can it
living in
not
like
create? It can write
Terminator.
its own code, though, right? It could hypothetically create like applications and stuff now. If it was like
It,
pre-programmed into doing it,
so it
or does
could,
that make sense?
but it can't. It has to be based on what its input is.
Okay, that
So,
makes sense.
um, trying to think of the best way to explain it. Like you can have it copy like the code for an app and then build it, but it can't go like it doesn't know that like it needs this part and then it needs this part and then it has to go back and edit this and then it whatever it's given is what
It has to be
it
told
Yeah.
beforehand.
exactly, yeah.
Okay. That
So
makes sense, actually.
it's the idea of it not having any like emotional say in what it does,
Yeah.
I know what
which
you
is the
mean.
difference between us and humans, or
Like
between it and humans.
I know in my field, IBM Watson is probably going to be very useful. Like I'm a data major, and like Watson's super helpful. Like I got
Oh
to
yeah.
play around with it last year for free through Suffolk, and it's just like it does so much so quickly.
hmm
Like it can clean and display data like that.
I
Jeff, you're
always get
muted.
mad at. I know I was just unmuting myself. The one thing I always get mad at is people are like, "Oh, Alexa and what's the other, Siri have come so far." No, they haven't. Honestly, if you think about it, they're
No.
fucking morons. Alexa
They're
can't
awful.
answer me half the time I talk to her. So like the idea that they're gonna be these like call center reps that can like speak like a human just doesn't sound like it's gonna be anything like close to reality anytime soon. Or they're gonna be a ton of
Well,
hiccups, and
Google's
you're
doing
gonna
that pretty well,
yeah.
but
You're gonna be like
Yep.
clicking for a human because they're not gonna like hear you properly or
yeah.
something. Or they're
Who
just
do you
gonna
think's
send you
the
the wrong place.
if you rank them, who do you think's the smartest to dumbest? Siri, Alexa, or OK Google?
I don't know. I have OK Google and I have Alexa, and I'm not impressed by either one of them, to tell you the truth. They never get what I ask right. They always muffle my words. I'm like, I speak English. Don't I have this
So
set to English?
I guess by
Yeah.
process of elimination, Siri wins.
You think Siri's the smartest? I think OK Google is smarter than Siri, honestly.
believe
Actually,
But
it.
then
OK
again, I don't
Google's
own an
better than
Android, so I
OK
don't deal with
Google's
it all the
better
time.
than Alexa, actually. If I had to like rank the two I have, OK Google actually usually gets it right. But
I just
Alexa,
Alexa's the
I don't
worst
really
one.
use any of them. Like if I have to look something up or I'm curious about something, I just type it. Like
Yeah, I had never used Siri
yeah, same.
ever.
No.
imagine how
Like
boring the
maybe
person who
to,
has to program that its job is. Like, all right, what are people gonna think? And they just have to go through like millions of possibilities
Yeah.
yeah,
and different ways of saying the exact same thing.
and that's kind of the reason. Just to go into a little bit about the reason Siri is so dumb is Google just steals all your data, so they have plenty of different combinations to work with.
Yeah.
Apple doesn't steal your well, they steal your data. Everyone steals your data, but they do it less, which means they have less input to make
Yeah.
it more natural. And God knows what Amazon
By the
does.
way,
Yang
Derek-
wanted to get taxed for stealing our data.
But no, I
nah.
actually had a serious question about this. Derek, do you support people having like data rights and like people actually owning their own data? What do you think about that? Or should it be like a free like commodity to be capitalized on?
I think anyone who capitalizes on anyone's private information shouldn't do it. To any, not to any degree. I mean, there's things that you can collect about people that don't invade their privacy, but that's a whole different question of even that being taken from you. But I try to support companies and products that do it less and at least show they kind of care about it.
Yeah.
Whereas the blatant ripping off of tracking, like you mentioned something on your phone and all of a sudden your shopping carts suggesting it, like that,
Yeah.
that creeps me out. And I think it's one of the biggest issues, bigger than like the fear of AI taking over, to be honest, because we don't even think about it at this point. There's no way any of us
Yeah.
could go back and remove everything. And the idea that, oh, when something's online, it'll never get deleted. Yeah, that's true. But the way that stuff is stored, you have no idea where it is. And anything that they steal can be used against you.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question. Do you support Tor and Bitcoin services like that?
I support anything that can make you as anonymous as possible.
That
I
makes
mean,
sense.
That comes with the dark side of the illegal stuff, but I think that's protected.
Comes with
That's what
freedom too,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna
and
say.
The idea of
autonomy.
freedom. hmm
For sure. I just wanted to get your take on that because I think Tor is like an essential tool. Because of course there's the bad stuff that comes with it, but if you actually really care about freedom and autonomy and people not and like anti-regulation to a large degree and people being able to control you and see what happens in your life, like I think it's really the only safe way to navigate the web without being tracked. And like,
Yeah.
why do you want governments and companies to know what you're doing anyway?
Another
I definitely
pretty
support it.
simple thing you can do is just clear out your cookies, like website, like delete all your like stored website information. That'll at
Yeah.
least like that helps quite a bit. It's not going to eliminate data tracking, obviously, but like it makes it so that every time you go on, like you're clearing your cross-site tracking at least.
hmm Yeah. And I think people tend to get a little bit scared about it too.
Yeah.
They're not stealing your like social security
No.
to go get into stuff. I mean, it's possible. It's certainly possible, but like, there's the majority of people work against it to make sure this kind of stuff
Yeah, I'd
happens.
argue that's actually happening less now than it was like 15 years ago.
Oh yeah,
Like I feel like credit card and social security numbers, things like that, are getting stolen like way less than they were like back in like 2000, like between 2000 and 2012.
yeah,
Like it's not even close because there are way more people working against it now. Like
exactly.
yeah,
But the other thing, what they're trying to steal from you is essentially like your marketing data.
yeah,
so
pretty
they can
much.
sell you
Because
something.
that's the new
Yeah.
gold mine, pretty much.
Mhm.
Like
I
stealing
see,
a
like-
credit card is gonna get flagged. You're not gonna get much out of it.
With targeted ads off of what you viewed on like Amazon or Instagram.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pointless to hack someone's account with $3.81 on it. That's all you get. Or you can track someone and have the ad track them across hundreds of sites. You get 5 cents per every page they visit.
Yeah.
Bring in the dough. Easy as that.
that's one way of putting it. Holy shit! Never thought of it that way.
You'd be surprised, and it's a little bit of a complicated situation for me, is because I really want to run ads on all of my sites. I'd like to have a little bit of extra revenue, pull it in
Yeah.
wherever I can, but all the ad services that will pay me track you. So I'm just not going to put ads because I'd rather not have that at all. It wouldn't bring in that much that's going to ruin my ethical compass.
Well, this
So-
is what made Zuckerberg like back when we first watched The Social Network. Like the genius behind Facebook is that he was the guy to do that. Like he's the guy that came up with that. You know, like
Yeah.
no one really acknowledges that too much. And then like Amazon, like look at the core thing they did. Like Amazon was investing in like servers. It's collecting data.
Yeah.
Like. People don't really. I feel like people don't look into. They just see like, oh, tech billionaire, and they see like, oh, Facebook social media. But it's like, what is it that Facebook actually made for him? You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that exhausts that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, speaking of freedom and living in America, Borat 2 just came out last week.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's funny.
Derek,
We've
did you
all
see
seen
Borat?
it. Have you seen it, Derek?
I've seen half.
Half?
It.
So you
Oh,
saw
okay.
the.
I haven't
Would
had
this
time.
be a nice cage to put my daughter in? And the guy was like,
yeah.
I wouldn't use it for that, but it is a nice cage.
And you know it's Borat, so the guy was just like totally going along with it and had
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah.
I love the
The guy
computer
was just
store
like,
scene.
I'm trying to make a sale right now.
The computer scene where he's like spit roast cream pie. It's just like pouring that box out. It's like, I thought this was dessert, no?
And the cell guy was just like, oh, okay.
And then he like goes in
Because
the
of the bathroom, yeah.
That was one of my favorite scenes. Like that scene made me laugh out loud.
He's like white guy with African lady.
Yeah, it's like tall white man, African woman.
And also the scene where they get that cake, the cupcake with the baby on it.
Yeah.
And daughter's like, "There's a baby inside me,"
He's like,
and he's like, "I put it in her."
I've been very
He's like,
naughty.
naughty.
Yeah.
Oh, that was such a great movie. I mean, my opinion, it still wasn't as good as the first one. But it was a great movie. I mean, we won't go into the second half of the movie since you
Yeah.
haven't seen it, Derek.
Yeah,
but
we won't give too many spoilers, but yeah, I thought.
That's
I
what I
mean,
meant.
it was definitely a high point in 2020 for that movie.
oh, for
coming
sure.
out. But it's something to
It's a
look
strong
forward.
movie too.
Yeah.
It's just it'll do well in the box office. I actually
I was
heard
gonna say.
Cohen's making a ton of money off that movie. I think the most he's made off a movie was 30 million off of Dictator. And this one he's set to make like 40 or 50 million off of it,
Yeah.
depending on how well it does.
Yeah.
So he's making tons of money off of Borat too.
Yeah.
I was
Which
gonna
is
say
good.
it's definitely I'd say it's probably one of the best movies so far in 2020 to come out.
At least
Yeah.
comedy wise, for sure.
Totally
Definitely, yeah.
supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
Tenet was
that'd
pretty
be-
sick. I loved Tenet.
I need to
watched
see
it.
Yeah, and I was saying comedy wise maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I would say it was pretty good. I'd probably give it I'd probably give it 4.5 out of 5 stars, just because I'd give the first Borat 5 out of 5.
I
But
probably have to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Like if I'm going on a 10.
yeah, but
Like I
doing
don't
it out
think,
of 10, I would give it 8.5 as well.
yeah, it was good though. Like I really liked it. And Cohen's ability to act is amazing. His ability to expose people is
How he
awesome.
never breaks character, and he's dealing
Yeah.
with real people that could
It
like
honestly,
Yeah.
it reminds me of Jim Carrey. Him and Jim Carrey are the two actors that like never break character. You're always your belief is always what would it suspend your disbelief. Like they're able to pull it off better than any other two comedians,
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
my opinion.
Cohen was telling a story before, how I think when he was filming, it was either for the first Borat movie or the Borat TV show, that he had back in the UK in the day. Apparently he got really drunk, like, because he was at a wine tasting, and he was just drinking mad wine to the point where he like blacked out or something. He like passed out,
Damn.
and apparently his producers were like fucking freaking out because they thought like that like he would like wake up and just starts talking in like his British voice or whatever and just be normal. But apparently they woke him up and he was literally just like, I want more wine. Like he never
Dude,
breaks
he's such a
character.
good method actor,
Yeah, he
honestly.
is.
Like he never
Crazy.
breaks ever.
It's
Dude, that's the
crazy
thing I
the
could
way
never do.
people
How does
can
he
do
never
that.
even crack a laugh?
Yeah.
And like even in Borat movies, like some of those scenes are hilarious. How could you not
And just
laugh?
straight face, like
Like going
yeah.
to like the women's clinic and being like, I put a baby in my daughter. How could you not laugh at that?
Nah, he's ridiculous. Like I definitely think like the way, yeah, no like comedian as far as like improv comedy, I'd say, and like playing roles, like as he's one of the most talented in both
Yeah.
of those genres of comedy. Like at least he's easily my favorite. Cause like all his movies, like Ali G, Bruno, and all his shows too, like The Dictator, This Is America, yeah, Who is America,
Yeah.
and all of those, he's like
I'd
really
say,
good in all of that.
Overall, with like Sacha Baron Cohen, amazing comedian. Like even with like when he was back on Ali G and the Ali G movies, I fuck with. But I would say with Borat, the first one, it was a lot more about like meeting with like people and like just about the experience of the country. Whereas like in the second one, he tried to get a little more political. And that's
Yeah.
kind of why we
That's
wouldn't
for
give
sure.
it that like 10 out of 10 because
Yeah, the first one, it's a lot more of like a cult. It's like plays on cultural,
like
and,
a-
like
yeah.
societal
That's what I
stereotypes.
liked about the first one though. It's like an everyday experience. Like an everyday man like could watch that movie and really love it. Whereas this one it played more to the elitist or like
when
Like
you
the-
look
like
at
the
his,
actual like political landscape, which I
Yeah,
didn't care
when
for.
you
like,
look at his
fair
actual
enough.
skills though, like Who is America does a better job of calling
That's
out
what
and
I'm
making
trying,
politics
which I don't
funny.
get why he
Like Who's
tried to do it
America is
in
fantastic.
Borat. It didn't
Yeah.
like if Borat was more targeted to like what it had tried to do in the first one, it would have been more successful, at least in
Yeah.
my eyes.
Yeah,
Because
Yeah,
it just
have you,
played into politics.
Have you ever seen Who's America?
Have I?
Yeah.
Oh no, I
It's
haven't.
like
I
Baron Cohen's other show.
So
I watched Bruno the other week,
Oh yeah.
a couple days before Borat 2 came out, just because like I had seen Borat the first one way back,
yeah,
Yeah.
and then just kind of forgot about it. Like you see it every once in a while, but then
yeah.
kind
it's
of started
one of
going back into his other
Yeah.
stuff before the movie came out, and Bruno was hilarious.
Yeah.
Bruno.
I
Bruno
gotta
is
say,
very
the
good.
first Borat's probably my favorite comedy. It's got to be right up there. I love Borat.
It's
the first
definitely
one.
up there. I think it's
Yeah.
also
It's up
funny how
there.
that
Yeah.
movie's like 14 years old, and like Borat's still like that. Even the first movie's still relevant.
Yeah, it
With a
still
lot
stands
of-
today for sure.
It still stands. Like that's the thing. Like another thing with the second one is, if you notice, like in the movie, he always has to wear like another disguise because like everyone knows Borat now, and he's just like, people make recognize my face. Like they just all see him. That's the one
Dude,
problem that made it.
Borat's
yeah.
subsequent movie film.
Yeah,
Even the title is perfect. I love
That's the
that.
thing, though. That's the thing. Like, yeah, I think he tried his best to make it like hit as hard as the first one, which is like the everyday encounters he has with people and just like
Yeah,
fucking with
those
them.
were
But
great.
it's like hard because so many people still recognize him. Like anyone
Yeah.
under the age of 40 knows Borat.
That's
Yeah.
so true. Because he's so good, like the comedy from the first one. It's a cult classic, dude. It's
Yeah.
literally like one
Yeah.
of those movies that everyone knows.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a classic, exactly. And
Love
like,
that
yeah,
movie.
just like it's funny because he's able to have like he's able to kind of make a plot out of like just like the situations he's in, and he's also able to like pull off like having most people not be actors. They
Dude, you
still
know what?
take him seriously.
Dude, the scene in the first one where he's like at like the British club and the guy's like going through the bathroom with him and he shows the trough and he's like, "Is this where you go to make a dirty?" And he like
Oh yeah,
bends
that's
over
it's in
to
the
go to
TV
take a
show. It's
shit.
in the Borat
Yeah,
TV
he's
show.
like,
Yeah.
and if there's two people in there, you can make dirt in here. He's like, "No, that's if you want to take a wee. You want to take a poo, you go in one of these."
Yeah, and he points to the sink and he's like, "Can I go in here?" If it's like,
He's like,
Like,
"Which
that
one
kind
do
of
you
shit.
prefer?" He's like, "Which stall? It depends if there's someone in one of them." Dude, I love that. And then
Yeah.
like they're like doing I forget what that sport's called, but when they like roll the jack, he's like, "Where's Jack?"
Yeah, like bowls or
Well, Jack
yeah.
joined us. It's like, "No, the ball is Jack."
Yeah, that's the thing too. That's the thing too. He's been doing this shit for so long. He's been doing this shit since like the late 90s.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he's
Ali
still
G's
that's how you can
hilarious,
tell
too.
it's like the master at it.
Oh,
'Cause,
yeah,
um,
definitely.
And the fact that he's like snuck into the I think it was the VMAs. It was either the VMAs or the Oscars. I think it was the Oscars, and he snuck in as Borat, and he snuck in as the dictator too, because they tried to ban him because he spilled Kim Jong Il's ashes apparently on Ryan Seacrest, so they
Jesus.
tried to ban him as the dictator.
He actually did get into CPAC this year. Like, that was real.
Yeah.
He was
He
actually
did get
there.
CPAC. He was
Yeah.
the fake Trump. Like, there's a news report on like a fake Trump like bursting into the room when Mike Pence was speaking. It was
Yeah.
actually like Sacha Baron Cohen doing that.
Dude,
He's like a
filming
real
his
news
movie,
you can look up.
dude.
That
It's
happened. That was-
savagery.
He was
That's
where
a
to like
real
pull
thing.
the right strings and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
I just don't-
crazy, dude.
I just don't get how he's like befuddled so many people.
Oh,
Like,
if you watch
still.
if you watch
Well, he's
Who
really
is America
smart.
on like YouTube, so Who is America was gonna be like his new skit show on Showtime, but I think they uncovered some like criminal underworld shit that they were like, no, this show's not airing. So they released a bunch of stuff on YouTube, and some of the people he dupes like several congressmen, not like a couple, like just like
Yeah.
one after another after another. It's crazy.
Dude, I kind of
The
want to know what
stuff he
the
gets
underworld
on
shit
there.
was.
Yeah,
Like,
I
did they
want
have
to
to
know
turn
what
that
it
over
was,
to the
too.
authorities or something?
I think they did.
That's
I think
crazy.
apparently the part of the way he does it is he gets in contact with people who actually are like officials in the positions that he tries to play, and then he does an interview with them, and he takes all their information and just pretends that it's stuff he's done.
Yeah, he does
when
do
he's
that.
talking
He
to the
goes in with a
person.
bunch of false pretenses.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. Apparently, he tried to get Ben Carson, like the director of urban
Yeah.
urban housing, I think it is,
Yeah.
for the
Yeah,
Trump
he used to run for
administration.
president. Yeah.
But anyway, he failed at it because he went to like a super famous hotel with like where there are 30 Secret Service agents that night. And he was like playing the Finnish guy, like the Scandinavian red hair,
Yeah.
like Shopkins guy.
Yeah.
And like, what was it? It was Carson's like informant went in, or Secret Service guy went in and like walked out and told Carson to leave, like right as it was about to take place.
Yeah,
And
he tried to fuck with that like psycho guy from Alabama. Who was that guy's name again? The guy who,
Arizona?
like no, from Alabama. The
Oh,
guy
Alabama.
who was like trying to ask out underage girls, and he had like the rapist detector or something.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Roy Moore was the
Roy
name.
Moore, yeah, or pedophile
These
detector.
are
That's what
all
it
the
was.
people he gets on this show are like representatives in the U.S. government.
Yeah, that's what's the fucked up part. Like people support these guys, and they're fucked up.
Like he
What?
gets
They were trying to stop 4-year-olds from having guns? What is the logic these people come up with?
he's like, yeah, he got like congressmen to endorse arming like 4-year-olds, and then he had Dick Cheney on. He's like,
Got to sign a waterboard.
yeah, he was like, you are the #1 terrorist killer. You have killed 700,000 potential terrorists and 100,000 terrorists.
The shit he gets people to admit to is absolutely
It's
insane.
crazy.
Yeah.
I love
That's
it.
why he's like wicked smart about how he does his
Yeah.
shit.
And
He's
his
a
jokes
smart
are
guy.
so
People think he's an
subtle when he's
idiot.
with them. Yeah.
The thing is, people think he's an idiot, so they open up to him a lot quicker than they would otherwise. Like
Yeah.
he plays to ignorance so
Plays
well.
the
In my
fool.
opinion. He plays
That's
the
what I
fool.
find-
and
that's what I
people
find
trust
funny.
him more.
Yeah.
That's why I don't get one with Borat. People were trying to say that he was like making fun of Kazakhstan and saying it was like a third world place. It's like just like barbaric, but like
They're trying to cancel him in Kazakhstan right now.
Yeah. Well, they banned the movie there, but that place actually is like a dictatorship. But like the point is he's trying to make fun of like the fact that he can just say this country and most like Americans or British people wouldn't have been there, and he can just like make all this shit up and they'll go.
And no
with
one
it. That's,
actually.
like, the point.
He speaks like in the both of the Borat films. He speaks like a bunch of different European languages.
Yeah, he speaks
It's
like
not
Russian,
just
Polish, like, yeah. It's just but he just fucks with them because they don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the point. Is like he just plays to like he can make anything up about this country and people will think that's how it is.
That's so true.
Where he's just like, women can now ride on the inside the bus and Jews no longer have to wear blue hats. He's such just like that.
Yeah, dude, that movie was funny. It might even be better than an 8.5. I just didn't really like how political it got. Because I felt like that was a place for Who is America, but it
Yeah.
wasn't like in Borat. I kind of liked the
Where it's more of like
off-the-cuff
cultural
humor where it was like a
Yeah.
cultural humor where like you could go in any different section of America. Like where he walks into the lobby in the first one, he's like, "What's up with it, vanilla face?"
Yeah. When he tries to get when they try to teach him how to talk hood and shit.
Yeah.
Or like when he goes
He's like,
to
I like you people. You
project.
look like Michael Jackson. Beat it.
Eat it. He's like, man, get the fuck out." They're like, you gotta speak English around here.
He's like, I like a Corky Butcher, you know, bing bang bing.
And fuck all that shit.
But
Yeah,
yeah, that's one thing with the some of the political jokes were great, but like I feel like Who's America takes those political jokes to just the next level. Like it doesn't even compare.
Yeah, it's like all
Yeah.
political.
That's
Yeah.
why Borat was not as big of a success for me. I feel like it tried to combine Who is America into Borat. I
Yeah.
didn't really care for that part of it.
Well, subsequent movie film was not as
Yeah.
much
Oh
as
yeah.
that.
Sorry. Because
Yeah.
the first Borat doesn't do
The
that.
OG Borat. I don't even know if there are many political jokes in the first
I
Borat.
don't think there are really,
In
dude.
Bruno, there's some because he takes his clothes off and when he's in the room with Ron Paul, he starts taking his clothes off.
Is that even Ron Paul?
Ron Paul, yeah.
Was Ron Paul even bothered, dude? He's a
He was
libertarian.
in the same. Well, he was kind of just like, what the fuck? Because he started stripping in the same room, bro. Like anyone would be like, what the fuck? It's just
Yeah.
funny. And he goes into like a cage match and like a cage wrestling match in Arkansas. He starts like yeah, with like the guy who's supposed to be his boyfriend. Like he just pushes the limits so far. It's funny.
Absolutely.
I guess no one in the audience, well, as usual for him, had any idea what was going on.
Yeah.
So
Bro,
those reactions,
literally.
because the reactions are always so
They're
genuine.
real reactions.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what makes
He's
it
so
so
like
great.
yeah.
Actually, there is one section of the new Borat that I saw on on social media when he went to the rally and he was like singing the country song. There was someone in the crowd who knew who he was. Like that was reported on much before
Oh,
Borat
really?
came out. Yeah. And same with like the Michael Pence like Trump impersonation. That was before.
Michael
sorry.
Pennies.
But like I think most of the movie's still real. But
Yeah.
there are definitely things where the crowd must have been in on it.
Yeah, he had to try pretty hard with it now because he's so like well known. It's like he mostly went for like people who were like older, didn't have any idea who he was.
Yeah.
He has to like go like to the most rural locations to pull
Yeah, he
that
goes
shit.
to like
I
the
feel like.
rural south pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like to pull that off where no one knows who you are, you'd have to go to a community that's completely isolated pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that. What do you think? Does that exhaust Borat?
Yeah,
I think,
yeah, that shows you that. Yeah, really
So
shows
stock
you the
picks?
potential.
Stock picks we're gonna continue to skip.
I don't really have a stock pick, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get. Well, I mean, after
Also,
the
no
election,
one's
maybe we'll
making
pick it
money
back
in
up.
stocks for at least like another month.
Actually, right now stocks are going down at the moment,
Yeah.
and I think it has to do with futures because of the election. Looks like the Democrats are probably gonna win, as an unbiased opinion coming from a libertarian.
Yeah.
I think that they're at least going to take two chambers, the presidency
It's just a
and the House.
matter of
I don't know what
figuring
happens in the
out.
Senate.
The main thing now is figuring out where bottom is, so you know where to buy in.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of interesting because I looked at a ton of data. When the Democrats take over, futures usually drop. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen to the same degree with Republicans for some reason. I think it's probably due with
Taxes.
taxes. Taxes are like probably the
'Cause-
main driver.
Yeah, because with lower,
Um,
when your taxes are lower, you have more money to invest.
Yeah. Yeah, and consumer and business confidence is generally higher from the start. But anyway, I think that you're gonna look at futures being low. I think there'll probably be a few drops after the election.
That's one thing I don't understand. Either way, the economics are kind of fucked, so it doesn't really. But what? Yeah, if there's a conservative in there, I'm more confident in the market. Like,
well, you
fuck
have more
off.
money
That's-
in your pocket if you're rich.
Well,
so it's
because
like,
yes, taxes being lower does make a difference, but
it makes a difference.
like having more
Yeah.
confidence in business, that's bullshit. Business will do well. Like conservative economics haven't been that great for a long, long time.
Neither. It's
Like-
literally just because it's like a self-interest thing. So that if
Yeah.
taxes are low, you'll see
Yeah.
less. You'll
It's,
see more.
it's mathematics.
positive
Like if
setup
you have
in
the money,
futures.
people invest. Like
Yeah. There's more positive sentiment in the markets at least when
Yeah.
generally when there's a conservative. I can send you the charts. It's a real statistic that is
yeah.
like
No, I
proven.
know. I'm just saying it. Like it just speaks volumes as to like either way, economics are fucked, but people are more confident just because of conservatives in there. Like it doesn't. Does that make sense? No, but that's how it is.
Yeah. All right. So I think we're not going to go into stock picks. So we're going to go over into lessons of the week. I actually have one. It's like trust your gut instincts. If something feels right to you, don't be afraid to speak your mind and tell others how you really feel. I mean, like, I feel like a lot of the time people like have this preconceived notion as to like what they should say. But if you're like talking to your friends, you should tell them like how you're actually feeling, because like even if someone else like won't really take anything you say seriously, it's like good to at least get your friends' feedback and then like adjust based on what they say.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people like look down on you or be like, oh, I can't believe you think so and so. So it's like good to get feedback and trying to adjust to like what they think you should try and improve on. I think that's huge. Like taking other people that are close in your life advice and like building on it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, anyone want to go next?
Uh,
Do you have one, Bert?
I got one. Sure. So I guess this week's lesson for me is let bygones be bygones. So it's like I don't know. I guess like I haven't always been like responsible and taken responsibility for things, but like as I've started to do so, I've noticed like not everyone grows at the same rate. Like not everyone is always gonna be honest with themselves, and there are times where even people who are won't be. So it's like when you see something and you want to place blame, no matter how true or untrue it is, it's never going to be productive. What's productive is figuring out a way forward. So yeah, let bygones
Sure.
be bygones.
All right. So I think I'll say mine for this week is don't put too much on your plate. Like in the sense, don't overwhelm yourself with things to do. Like don't try and do everything. Like it is good to prioritize and try and get stuff done right when it shows up. But also in that sense is if you put stuff off, it can pile up. So don't try to do too many things at once, because what's more likely going to happen is you're just going to end up not doing an adequate job at all of them, or you're just going to end up like overbooking and having to cancel things on other people or something like that. So
Alex
yeah,
with the same lesson.
I know,
3
Alex,
weeks in
you
a
have
row.
a common theme with all your lessons.
How is
this
this the
last
same
month.
lesson?
It's like almost every time it's the same, bro.
I don't think that's true.
It's okay. It's still a lesson.
Maybe-
It's still a
maybe,
Still,
lesson.
yeah.
it's
Good
a
lesson.
lesson. Derek, do you have a
I just
lesson
keep
for
having
this
the
week?
same problem.
Yeah, I'd say it's closely related to Alex's. Live for yourself. I would say don't forget that you only have yourself at the end of the day. It's one thing you never lose. So don't sort of overwork yourself or forget what the actual goal is, which is for the majority of people is just to be happy with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a great lesson, Derek. Bert and Jay can go fuck themselves.
Oh, that
I'm
was
not saying
awesome.
it's a bad lesson. I'm just saying, seeing a common theme here.
Yeah, your
Derek,
lesson,
did you-
Bert can be not be a dick.
Derek, did you wanna pimp your app one more time before we?
Yeah. If you're interested in anything, look if you want, look me up on Twitter, MTAC8. If you want it, if you want to change anything you want about your device, check out links. You won't regret it.
Cool.
Awesome.
And
Thanks everyone for tuning in.
yeah, so
Yeah,
be
thank you.
sure to like and subscribe on the video. Anyone
We also
watching?
want to thank Derek for coming on
Yes,
very much.
thank
Thanks for having
Very
me.
interesting.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that concludes episode 13 of Straight No Chaser. Once again, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow our Instagram, straightnochaser.ent. Thanks, guys.